everyone, and welcome to Dream Leapers. I'm your host, Harriette Cole, and I have a great guest for you today, a woman I've known for, I don't even know how long. She's going to tell us exactly, but it's more than a dozen years. When she came to New York from Chicago, bringing an incredible fashion event to New York City, and we've been connected ever since. Let me tell you about her. She is a true powerhouse in the worlds of public relations, event production, and fashion. Dionne Williams is the founder of D. Williams Public Relations and Event Management Group. This is a Chicago-based agency that has made its mark by producing unforgettable events nationally and elevating revered brands and clients such as TGIN Hair Care, Ambi Skincare, the History Makers. I've done tons of work with them, Dwayne Wade's World Foundation, Chaka Khan, and Jennifer Hudson, to name a few. Dionne is also the visionary behind the show that I mentioned, the Emerge Fashion Runway Show. This is a signature event during New York Fashion Week that has been running for more than a decade, giving emerging designers a global platform while also celebrating industry legends. And each year, Emerge presents the Fashion Innovator Award, and past honorees include icons such as Andre Leon Talley, Diane von Furstenberg, Dapper Dan, Sergio Hudson, Beth Ann Hardison, and Colin Carter. Through her dedication, Dionne has built a reputation not only as a PR strategist and event producer, but also as a champion of new voices and a connector of communities. She is here with us today to share her story, her insights into building an enduring brand in an ever-changing industry, and the legacy she continues to create through her groundbreaking work. Please join me in welcoming Dionne Williams.
Hi.
Hey. Okay, so Dionne, what year did Emerge start?
Oh my gosh. Well, it was 14 years ago, so I can't remember. I think 2011 or something like that.
That is so great.
I started 14 years ago. Harriette was the first person that presented our Fashion Innovator Award. She didn't know me at the time. I just know I knew who she was because of her career, and she was so. What I love about the show and about this part of the honoree and the presenters is that they don't know me, but they're dedicated to the mission, which is the emerging designers, and I always appreciate you all the time for that, and we become friends since then.
Yes, and the person who received that inaugural Innovator Award was Audrey Smaltz.
Miss Audrey Smaltz.
For people who may not know who she is, Audrey is an icon in the fashion industry and has been for decades, many decades. She started out, she came on the scene for us to be aware of her as the commentator for Ebony Fashion Fair show, which was this incredible show that traveled all over the United States, bringing fashion primarily into Black communities, bringing the drama of fashion. And she was the commentator. And then after she did that for a number of years, she switched gears and came to New York. Well, she's from New York, but she came back to New York and started the Ground Crew, which is a backstage production company. And she made sure that those models came out on the runway perfectly. We're talking about Donna Karan, Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein, and many, many, many others. And for a Black woman to have this kind of business that was so powerful and important in fashion was revolutionary. And so it was perfect. When you asked me if I would honor her, I'm like, absolutely. I was happy that you knew who she was and that you wanted to honor her.
Yes, I think I know we're going to go through the show. But I created the Fashion Innovator Award doing the Emerge shows because I really was learning about history of fashion, and especially Blacks in fashion. And so I thought that putting the award during the show, it will make people want to kind of look at the history of what that person has done. So Audrey Smaltz was a perfect example of a first honoree that I had. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, there was a very meaningful, and I think a good balance, because one of the things, a challenge I know for you and for all of the producers who have over the years tried to showcase new talent, being a designer, even if you aren't new talent, is very expensive. It's very challenging to get your vision into actual clothing, and then to get that clothing on a runway and then even possibly into a store. It's very expensive and requires a lot of skill and support. And sometimes, it's hit or miss. It's even hit or miss with established designers. So I think one of the things that I appreciate about your event is that you have the established people and the new people. So if some of the stuff is clunky, because some of the times it is, you have both. You got both right there. And you're giving people a chance to show their work even as they literally are on the ascent.
Most definitely. I just feel that, to me, Emerge is, if you come to Emerge fashion show that's happened during New York Fashion Week, I just feel like it's like a community. Those people, I'm not a fashion person, and I came here from Chicago, fell in love with the fashion industry. So I know how it feels to not be a part of the establishment, because I still am not. So I was like, I'm gonna build my own table. And I just feel those people who are there, who love fashion, and maybe not have access to, the official shows, but they can get this quality show that shows great designers. Some are very established, emerging, some are beginner but talented. We have the top fashion icons that we're honoring. We have people like you who have been in the fashion industry for a long time. Then we have newcomers. So it's just a mix of everything, and you kind of feel that excitement. I love the community that we built.
I agree with you. I think that it's important to create opportunities for people's creativity to be seen.
Yeah.
And it's this industry is a tough industry to get into, in a way that there are eyeballs and potential customers who are going to look at your work and have an opportunity to potentially buy it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Emerge is very important, that it creates opportunity. So behind the scenes, there are other opportunities. You've been working with a beauty school, I believe, that's out of DC. Is that where? Tell us about this team you bring in each year.
Well, a lot of people are emerging that are part of the show. So I have backstage, we have 6 designers that we showcase during the Emerge. And each designer gets 1 model per outfit. So we don't like a lot of quick changing, but we're, our show starts and it goes. There's no issues there. So we have about 70 to 80 models backstage. And so Bennett Career Institute out of Washington, D.C., where Chet Bennett is the president of Bennett Career Institute, we have 40 to 50 hair and makeup glam students, and also masterclass students and professionals who come from Washington, D.C. We bring them in from DC. They come there 50 strong, and they handle that hair and makeup that's backstage. About 80 to 90 models. It's a big production. I can't handle backstage. I'm front of house. I just stay front of house. I don't know what happens, but my team with Bang and Aaron from Models Inc. They're from Washington D.C. They handle all the things backstage and all the stuff that goes around. It's typically just like something that you would see on TV, but probably larger, because it's 6 designers. Yeah.
So I appreciate the fact that you have 1 look per model for each designer, because you can hold up a show trying to do a wardrobe change very, very quickly, right? But how did you find the beauty school? How did you find these different entities who you're bringing to New York?
Well, when I started the show, when I started in 2011, I was my friend Terry Stevens was on Project Runway from Funkin' Beautiful Designs. And so she almost made it to the final finale show, but she didn't. But they invited all of the contestants to see the show. And I was her guest that year. And it was at Bryant Park, the finale of Project Runway. So I was her guest. And when I got there, I was wowed by everything, because you mentioned before, I'm a PR person and an events person. That's what I do. So when I got there to see the lights, the logistics, just everything, I was blown away. So after the show, Terry and other designers, they do independent shows. So people, if you're part with Fashion Week, it's the official shows. That's you're on the official list. And then there's tons of independent shows, and Emerge is the independent show. So I would go with her to these independent shows, and they were just not at the level I thought that a talented designer should be to be showcased. Terry is and Funky Beautiful. Her clothes are actually really beautiful, and so when she was a part of these other independent smaller shows, I was like, you know what, I could take my skills of PR and event production and create this platform for designers like Terry, who are almost there. They're super talented. They just need, they don't have the money for a show because, you know, the show costs thousands and thousands of dollars. So a collective show, I collectively come together and use all the resources to help produce this big show. And so that's how I kind of kept with Chet Bennett. People do sponsorships and just connections. When people first saw the show, it was in a small white box studio.
Yeah, I remember.
About 200 people. I was like, let me find 6 designers. And I wanted to, of course, put the honoree piece in there because I think it's important to, you know, like I mentioned before, to know history. And then after that was a February. And they was like, oh, September. I was like, oh, so Fashion Week happens February and September. I got to do this again. So I was like, you know what? I think I should try to do it again. So we did it again in September at a bigger venue that we've always had in the financial district, who has become our partner. And now it's like 400 guests, 6 great designers. And we've honored so many people, like you mentioned, so everybody that I honor, I obsess about. Let me just say, I get to their story and just obsess. And Andre Leon Talley, I had sent a email to him, and I was so nervous. I was just nervous to even talk to him. I was just, but he emailed me back and said, of course, because he's a big advocate for emerging designers. And I almost fell out of my chair. And each honoree receives, someone can present to them. And I was like, well, What would you like to present? And he said, DVF. I fell off again. So each year from that, we've honored Constance White, we've honored Dapper Dan, Sergio Hudson, Carl Kanai. Carl Kanai was really special to me because I am a Gen Xer, and in the 90s when he was in his full glory, that was my day, and in the 20s. And so Carl was very special year for me because he lives in LA. We brought him back to New York so New York could celebrate him. We've honored Pat Cleveland, and Stephen Burrows gave her award. I was just like, oh my gosh. Beverly Johnson, I could go on. Misa Hilton, like we've having so many. This year, we are honoring. This is the first time I'm telling her.
Okay, drum roll. Who's being honored this year?
I know. I'm going to skip 2 out of the 3, but we are honoring Brandon Blackwood, who is the luxury accessories designer. And of course, we're going to honor everybody's dear person that's so sweet, who just came off of Beyonce's concert, Mr. Ty Hunter. We're going to honor those 2. So the third one I'm going to be announcing soon, but I'm super excited for this show on September 16th.
That is very exciting. I want to share about Andre Leon Talley. I often say I've had 39 lives, but in the first professional life anyway, as it relates to fashion, I was at Essence Magazine. And first I was running the lifestyle department and later the fashion department. In the lifestyle department, that's when I first met him. We did a story on him. He had a tiny apartment at the time in Manhattan. And my art director, Gregory Gray, knew him and said, let's do a lifestyle story of him in his apartment. And so we went there, and it's a tiny space that was perfectly appointed. And an interesting tidbit about him, he had 2 of everything. So he had stacks of art books, and there were 2 of each. And he had, even back then, this is in the 80s, he had Manolo Blahnik shoes. Whatever there were 2 of each, like identicals. And so I said, Andre, why do you have 2 of everything? So he had learned from his friends who had country homes and, homes in Paris and wherever, that what you should do is have 2 of everything. And you put the second one in your country house. And he said, I don't have a country house yet, but I will. And when I have my country house, I'll put it in there. That was so brilliant.
That is so funny.
Early days.
2 of everything.
She had two of everything. And then over the years, of course, when I ran Fashion at Essence, and for many years after, I would see him and talk to him and, just observe how he moved through space. He was regal. He was the Black man in fashion at the top. And he helped a lot of designers, many emerging designers, to have an opportunity. I remember one year, I don't know whether you were at this, it was early days for Laquan Smith. And he brought Serena Williams to the Laquan Smith show and had Laquan dress her. It was Laquan is so creative. He was doing some kind of like a period look that was sexy, but it was a period look.
Yeah.
And there was Serena Williams wearing his clothes, and this was Andre Leon Talley bringing him to that moment.
He was such a supporter. Now I am just starting off. I mean, that was in 2012 when he accepted the Innovator Award. And then throughout the years, like during the pandemic, I started like a digital interview series with icons. He did that one. He interviewed for that one. When we did a virtual show to celebrate, 10 years, he was a part of that. So he continued to support, and I'm forever grateful to him.
Yeah. Let me let folks know this is Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. We are talking with Dionne Williams. She is a publicist with her own company in Chicago. But why we're talking to her today is this all things fashion. This is the fashion moment in New York City right now. And she created a fashion show called Emerge some 14 years ago that is going to be held in just a couple of days. And I wanted to talk to her about her career and about that show. And so that's who we have with us right now. So Dionne, I want to go backwards to how did you get this idea? Because we'll talk about your business and some of the clients that you've had in a minute, but fashion and fashion designers, that wasn't your focus. What made you decide that this is what you should do?
Yeah, I'm nowhere near into fashion. I mean, I've mentioned before that my friend Terry Stephen, who was on Project Runway, we actually grew up together. And that was about the closest thing I had to fashion, except, in the 90s when I would obsess over magazines and supermodels and things like that. That's why I know you so well, because people need to know Harriette Cole, like her career is absolutely phenomenal. Like I have studied you and, throughout the years with the magazines, the creative work you've done, that has been I'm telling you, Harriette, that's a big part of, what I knew about fashion and back in the 90s and early 2000s. So that definitely wasn't my path. But now that I'm here, I am hoping to end my career on the fashion train. I love it. I love the whole New York piece. We'll be spreading out to different things, to London, Emerge London, hopefully Emerge, because we get so many designers who are African and Caribbean. Yes. One year we had a show with just African designers. It was their first time showcasing. So we wanted to bring it a little closer. So we'll be doing the Emerge London soon for those designers, and hopefully kind of spread out to maybe LA and to Miami. But I do want to kind of really spread it out and make it a move, because this was definitely not on my board of things to do.
But it's interesting how it has grown. And so I'm curious, that designers are showing their work on your runway. How many of them have gone on to be able to sell in stores and have success?
Yeah. So after the show, we kind of help to give them some resources. We may provide them with memberships to different programs that help designers. We just kind of help them build their portfolio and kind of help them guide the way. But there's many designers who've been a part of our show. Like Barbara Bates from Chicago, who has dressed many celebrities from back in the day. We have Bishmi Cromartie from Washington, D.C., who went on to many TV shows. It's so many.
Wasn't he on Project Runway?
He was on Project Runway. You probably was with this show with Oxblood Zebra, the young guy with the beautiful clothing. It was a couple years ago. They just go on. They really go on and do their own things and really become successful. Emerge kind of holds their hand. We really hold it because they're so nervous, and it's a lot to do. But because of our team, we really help them through the stages, and it gives them that first, like, oh, this is how a big show should run. This is how we show them how to prepare, how to create a collection, music, how the clothes are made, like all of that thing that they never thought of before is handled there. And then they go on to do some great things. I'm always so proud. I loved when I come to each season and I'll go to a show of a designer that was in our show. We have a few that's in the official shows for this season. So I'm excited about that. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So it has evolved.
Yes. And then we do want to do something what's called Beyond the Runway. Of course, because I do events, I could do a fabulous event of show, but I want to do it, take it beyond the runway. And this is where we'll start doing summits to get some information about kind of different grants and things like that could help them along the way, because it should be something beyond the runway.
And when will you start that?
We're hoping to do it next year. Our 15th anniversary is next year, and we're starting right in the top of the year in February when we started. So it'll be a whole year celebration, and we'll start the Beyond the Runway series.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting. So tell us about your entry into PR. When did you get that idea that you wanted to do PR?
Oh, yeah. So, when I got out of college, and I've always thought I wanted to be like a brand manager or something like that in this area. But when I got out of college, I went to intern with, and when I was going into graduate school, I was received an internship from NBC in Chicago. And it was in the community affairs department / publicity. And so that's where I kind of like, oh, this is nice. I like this community affairs, the media. I learned so much from that group. And in that same building, I know I'm aging myself just a little bit, but they had some TV shows in the building, like a Jenny Jones. Jerry Springer was there at the time. So I was able to kind of peek into shows. They let me do a lot. And then I was like, well, let me see what news is talking about. So they let me intern in news. So then from there, I just went from, like community affairs, public relations. And then later on in life, when I started to have my first child, I just decided to do freelancing. And people don't really know that I'm really a stay-at-home mother that just started some freelancing. And my PR agency,
I didn't know that.
Yes, most people think I'm just this career woman, but I actually stopped working because, I'm like a little helicopter mom, but I wanted to be at home. And so,
so wait, I got to back up for a second because this is important, especially for folks who listen to this and this show. They're trying to make their dreams come true. And often when you have kids, that could derail you. So how long were you a stay-at-home mom?
I never went back to work.
Okay.
Went back to work. So, and the kids I have 3 kids. They're in their 20s. So I just never went back. I just grew my company from there. And as they got older, it got a little bit easier to move around. My family and husband at the time were supports, my mom and sisters and stuff like that. So I was able to do that, but I just never went back. So people really don't, I never talk about, people really don't know that I was a stay-at-home mother. Like today, my kids still, somebody's always home. They just learned how to use the key to get in the house.
So stay-at-home mom is relative, right? It's you were there, especially I guess when the kids were young, you were just doing that. When did you add your own business to being at home?
Yeah, so I started just little by little doing some freelance things because I was already on the path of, doing these executive jobs. And my mentors at the time were still kind of helping. That's why it's so important to me for mentorship, because my mentors kind of helped me along the way and brought me to. And so as they got older and I was able to put them in school, and then I was able to do more with my company and grow.
Let's talk a bit about mentorship. What does that mean to you, and who have some of your mentors been?
Yeah, so it's very important to me. The generation before me, especially Chicago is a business town, and I was able to kind of just tag along with whoever would allow me to, whether it was the director of community affairs that was there. It's so many people in Chicago that just kind of brought me along. I was able to intern, do anything for free, do anything for cheap, whatever I built relationships through throughout the years. I was never sensitive or soft skinned about any rejection. I just kept going and kept, showing up at the events and the galas. I just show up every time. Back then I just showed up. Hi, how are you? It's me again. So mentorship was I learned different things from different people. I learned from my main mentor, Dolores Mebane, who was at NBC, how to build a community around you and support. I may have learned from, like a Hermie Hartman with Indigo newspaper about business. Like, you can still be a feminine businesswoman, but you got to know about business and finance. It just depends. I learned on certain, different people, different things. I kind of got that from each one of those.
And coming to New York, even though Chicago is a big market, it's not like New York.
Oh,
did you feel welcomed when you came here?
Well, you know what? I always tell New Yorkers that Chicago, I don't know if I don't want to talk. I love Chicago, but they could be a little in their little cliques. But New York to me felt a little more freedom, like a little more, kind of embrace, not just a little bit more kind of, I'll help you if you need to, that type of thing. They didn't kind of bring me to the table. I'm still kind of, fighting just to be like, hi, how are you? I'm here. But in New York, it's so vast and so many people doing so many things. But I'm just very patient and getting to where I need to be. I mean, people like you, if I can get somebody like you who really about the mission of in helping people. I mean, throughout the years, you've always took me to lunch. Like, we went to maybe a club and just talked about what's happening in the city. Is there anything I can attend that you're always so open and helping? So I usually get, I'm pretty lucky in getting people like you who really want to help. Even people like Beth Ann Hardison, another person who I'm scared to email, but she finally said yes a couple years ago. Oh my gosh. I think she said the story on the stage at Emerge.
She did.
Lord have mercy. I had to say
yes. If she asked me one more time.
If she asked me one more time. But people like Beth Ann, who still every show, even when she couldn't do it, she would send an email and say congrats because she was watching. Congratulations on that. You did a good job. She always was encouraging. So I'm not there. I'm doing more, trying to spend more time in New York. So I'm splitting my time up between Chicago and New York to do a little bit more.
I love hearing you say about different people who are helpful. In the end, people are people. And if we treat people like that, usually whatever the celebrity is that they may have, you kind of come down a peg, because in the end, we're just people living our lives, hopefully looking not only to benefit ourselves, but others. That certainly is what I learned, that's the way to live.
Yeah.
And when you live that way, a lot of people want to help you.
That's true. That's true. And I'm grateful to those who try to help me. And I take that. I don't get offended. I don't get, as many times as people said no. One day, Tyson Beckford, right? I'm never offended. I'm never offended, but but they're still everybody's still so nice. So, I mean, I'll get there. So many people, I tell people this all the time, you can't be offended because I work with so many high profile people. So I know I'm there when people say, oh, I remember you. And they meet so many people throughout the day. They meet some throughout just in general. So you cannot remember every time it just so I never get offended. I just keep introducing myself and then keep just making a way in the platform. And maybe they'll, I get some people, brands and people who work for brands and they see what I'm doing. The year I did Andre Leon Talley, 2012, which was kind of early. I wish I would have honored him a little later. But it was still kind of beginning. And when people saw that show, we had so many people like, you know what, this is something that can really be big. We're going to help you do this, and that. I remember Miss J. Alexander was like, this is good, but let's do this. So I had a lot of help along the way.
Well, I hope people are hearing this, because if you do excellent work, if you do what you say you're going to do at a high quality, then people will support you. If it's messy, they may not be so willing to support you. I want to let folks know this is Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. We are talking to Dionne Williams, the creator of Emerge Fashion Show, which is coming on September 16th. Where is it going to be?
It's going to be at Lamont Ballroom, which is in the financial district.
Excellent. And on they could go to your website for tickets,
Yeah,
right?
emergerunwaynyc.com. Yes.
emergerunwaynyc.com. I want to make sure you all heard that. So, Dionne, I want you to tell us about your business because I was very pleased to see when you did a big a rollout for TGIN when this is a while ago when they had a whole new product line, and I know you've worked
Oh,
with
yeah.
them for a long time. But tell us about your work in the publicity arena and who some of your clients are.
Yeah, so Emerge. I'm sorry for D Williams PR. Now Emerge, I'm maybe a little bit more like brighter in the eyes, but D Williams PR I still love. It's where I am funded. Emerge is not funding me at all. I'm doing that as a passion. D Williams PR is where I work. And so we do public relations and strategies and experiential activation events for brands and businesses and people. I love that. We do, one side of our division is public relations, where we do national campaigns and PR, media strategy for many brands. And then on one side, we do events, event management activations. Like before, I work with a lot of beauty brands like TGIN Hair Care. I've worked with ORS Hair Care, working with Jamaican Mango and Lime. I work with Ambi, Dermablend Cosmetics, so many other different brands. And we, like I mentioned before, years ago, I've worked with like the Shaka Khan Foundation, Dwayne Wade Foundation, Jennifer Hudson Foundation, and many organizations, healthcare organizations, tech companies. Yeah, we do it all with D Williams PR.
Excellent. So many of the products that you just mentioned are targeted to the African American market, or at least as it with the hair to the curly hair market, right? Was that intentional that you work in the Black space?
Yes, well, I'm a multicultural PR agency, so definitely it's very, that's what we do is work with brands and organizations, like I mentioned before, healthcare, tech, any business organization that wants to communicate to a multicultural audience, that's what we do. And then also on the other side with event experiential, just consumer facing. So anything that we can do to exchange with and kind of engage with consumers, that's our agency does that.
You know what's interesting, Dionne? I recently worked with George Johnson of Johnson Products. You probably know at 97 he released his first book, a memoir, unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
But one of the things that he talked about that I remember from my Essence days is Chicago has been a hub for Black PR, media, advertising. It's been very strong for decades in this space.
Yes, is that Chicago is for me for business, especially in this space, it's a big deal. Like Mr. Johnson, I read his book Afro Sheen. Actually, I read the Audible. It was incredible. Winton Phipps does the voice. It's incredible. If you want to learn about the beauty industry, just business in general, and plus on top of that, it was from Chicago. It's this amazing book. And so people like Mr. Johnson, Luster Products, Ebony, Linda Johnson Rice with Ebony and Ebony Fashion Fair, just beauty. Soft Sheen has been located there. Just TGIN, like I mentioned, all the other Mayel Organics, like in beauty business. Chicago is where it's happening. Media, so many media people and PR. So I got a good training ground when
Tom Burrell, right?
Oh my God, Burrell advertising. I mean, Mr. Tom Burrell, just
right.
That legacy. I worked on a project when they had the documentary of Mr. Tom Burrell. Incredible. Like it is the history of it. And then I was able to work with McGee, Osei, and Faith, who were the presidents. I never got to work with Mr. Burrell, but the owners after that. But just Burrell, it's Flowers Communications, it's Carol H. Williams. Like it's just Chicago is rich in history when it comes to advertising.
I'm glad we could talk about that a little bit because I don't think a lot of people know. I mean, Chicago has been a pulse point for Black excellence for generations. And I recommend to everybody to read Mr. Johnson's book. I had the privilege, Dionne, of working with him for almost a year in preparation for his book to come
Oh,
out. And I learned so
oh
much.
my
And this
goodness.
brilliant man was, and one of the things about him that I think is so brilliant, and he talks about it throughout the book, is he really was guided by faith.
Yes.
Here is a businessman who his was the first Black-owned business to be on the New York Stock Exchange. And it was a faith-focused effort. He never gave up his understanding of how to live. He says that he lives and built his business based on the golden rule.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that and be so successful is amazing.
Yes, and and the gardeners too. I want to
Yes.
miss them out. But I know it is so rich in history because as I'm working with these founders who are, of course, much younger. But that story with Mr. Johnson Afrosheen, with Luster and the gardeners and what they did back then, well, even starting with the bread basket with Operation Push, was kind of
Yes.
started so black-owned companies or products were able to get into big box stores. Like all that stuff, I just did not know about, and this is incredible, the history there. Um,
Well, and to that point, Dionne, John H. Johnson of Ebony and Ebony Fashion Fair and Ebony and Jet partnered with the founders of Essence at a certain point. They realized other magazines would have a kiosk at newsstands because they pulled their resources together, or sometimes they were under the same umbrella. And if you had 4 or 5 magazines together, you had better positioning. And so they decided to do that with Black publications. I mean, this is probably in the early 80s
yes,
to have an impact as Black brands banding together. I think this is something that's important for younger people to understand today.
hmm
Working together can be very powerful and everyone can benefit. This notion that there can only be one, or that, I have to be better than you and knock you out of the way, is not necessary.
yes, yes, and you are exactly right. With them coming together now, because I'm in PR, I kind of speak in demographics and generations.
Yes.
So please forgive me.
No, go
But the
for it.
baby boomers because I'm Gen X, the baby boomers really, I watched them come together. Like it was anything that they did, it was a meeting of sorts. When Walmart came into Chicago, I remember, and this wasn't that long ago, there was an organization that at that time was called ABLE. And Walmart had to come to this group to say, "Hey, we're trying to get into Chicago." It was just a more togetherness, and I saw it happen. I love, I know that when millennials and Gen Zs, call Gen X boomers, I love that we're able to have seen that history. Is so important to me, especially in the advertising world and PR, actually music and culture. All of that comes from we need to learn about. Gen X is a big impactful in the culture with hip hop and music. And I always tell the younger generations, millennial and Gen Zs, and my kids are Gen Zs, and they understand Gen X culture. But I just thinking like we have to know what has happened first. That's why with the Fashion Innovator Award with Emerge, it's so important because we got to know what has happened. Not that we're stuck. We just need to know what happened in order to move forward.
I agree. The Sankofa symbol, um, I think it's a Dinker symbol of a bird with its head turned backwards, feet forward, head turned backward. And the meaning is know your history before you move forward.
Yes.
This is essential. Actually, Dapper Dan is wearing that Sankofa symbol everywhere now. He wore it at the Met Gala to let people understand, if we take a, a breath, pause, do the research, and learn who came before us, and what did they learn? What did they do? How did they grow? What were the mistakes that they made along the way? Then we don't have to start from ground zero. And especially now when we see DEI under attack, we
Oh,
see people of color, with an effort to annihilate people of color, we have to understand that that cannot happen and it doesn't have to happen.
that's right. It's so important. And I know this is a hot topic as well with shows, and there's a lot of big events that are canceling, or we're being impacted really hard because of this situation. I know Emerge is definitely being impacted very hard with sponsor pullback
Yes.
or cutbacks. We decided, I was like, should we cancel or should we? But we can continue to go on for now. But we definitely have been impacted by what's going on in today's economy.
Well, you know what? Thank you for being transparent about that. I think this is an important thing for people to know. I mean, my business has been negatively impacted.
Yeah.
I don't even necessarily have a DEI business. I have a business that is inclusive of everyone, but because I'm a Black woman, suddenly, oh, you must be DEI. That must be the only reason you got wherever you're going to get.
Right.
And sponsorship and that kind of support has changed. We can't give up.
Yes.
We cannot give up. And we should also look to each other for support. That is not what has been our strong suit over time. But I think now is the time to make that decision and to really join forces with each other so that we do not perish during this period that is really tumultuous. Did you see that more than 300,000 Black women have lost their jobs since the beginning of this year?
I just heard that. Yeah.
Some master's degrees, PhDs. We're not talking, well, whoever it would be. If you have no education and you're working, you are in peril just like somebody who has it. But it's not because of skill.
Yes.
It's other reasons.
Yes. And so many people with events, and then me on the other side with agency, that I know I have a lot of friends and people who are being impacted, client wise with their business. It's definitely a thing. And I love talking about all things business, and because there's no shame in my game, because of my industry, I know what people go through, and I understand what other companies are, because I have to work closely with companies. So I know that what they're impacted by, and everybody is going through it. So if you say that you are going through something, it's people they're going through that already. So I'm never embarrassed, or I always love to just talk transparency about that.
And aren't you running a PR organization that brings other PR agencies together in Chicago?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm the president of the Black Public Relations Society in Chicago. And so I do feel like it's because of my mentors, and Beepers is what it's called. They helped me when I was coming up and from college and as a young professional. So now I am the president of Beepers, the Black Public Relations Society in Chicago. And what we do is bring educational workshops, job opportunities. We're going to do scholarships, things like that, and kind of honor people, because like you mentioned, all those people that we mentioned, like from Chicago, Mr. Burrell, R.J. Dale, Eugene Morris. I know these days back about all of these people. We want to honor them, and so we want to tell them how much we appreciate them. So we'll start putting together an honorary recognition ceremony. But we need those people, especially in Chicago, have paved the way in the industry that we were. So yeah, I think it's important. What
are some of the challenges that the publicists in your organization are facing, given the change there's the change in government, there's a conservative wave in this country, there's a anti-DEI movement. How is that impacting Black public relations firms in Chicago?
Yeah, we have several type of people. We have people who are in corporate, and even my daughter, she was in corporate at a big company and lost her job just recently. And so we have people who are in corporate that may be feeling it in certain areas. We have people who are individual solopreneurs, like publicists, and people who have a little bigger, mid-sized agencies. So they all talk about how they have been impacted, right now, because some of the programs that they may have been a part of were a part of DEI. So they're just kind of, just hanging in there, staying strong. We have to be creative. Being creative of what type of services I offer, what type of other companies clients I can have on the Emerge side, like how we really had to get creative in different ways to make sure it's funded. And I have to, Dionne Williams does a lot of that too for the show. But it's impacted, at this time with the agencies and events.
Yeah. Hey guys, this is Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. Can't believe we're almost at the end of this very interesting conversation with Dionne Williams. We're talking about her Emerge fashion show and about the state of the industry of public relations at this point in time when there are a lot of challenges that we are all facing on lots of different levels. Dionne,
I do want to say too, one more thing for the younger generations, like the Gen Zs and millennials that are coming up, and you want to be a business owner. But I am certainly a proponent of working a job as well as building, your own thing if you have to, because of whatever the economy is going on right now. So I know so many people who have built their companies while working a job, and then when it's time, then you can let go. But just to be showing for the gram, or I need my time, I just feel, especially now that I can see at this age, like where's the pensions, the retirement, so at this point, I want to encourage people to, you can look for that job, but still kind of build at the same time.
Excellent point. And I can say for myself personally, I worked for Essence Magazine for 11 years. I started my career independently after that, but I had a great foundation.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur for many, many, many years, I can tell you that, it's a roller coaster. It goes up and down. I have no regrets, but I can say that being in business for yourself has a lot of challenges, and you have to be a certain kind of person to be able to do that. And also, you don't have to do it forever.
Mm-hmm.
Life is not linear. There are lots of opportunities for choice as we move along. But, this being Dream Leapers, I do want people to recognize however you pursue your dreams, do it. You can have a full-time job and pursue it on the weekends. You can, like Mr. Johnson's dream, it wasn't until late in life was to write his book. He's 97. That's when his book came out. I mean, God bless him that he lived this long and is coherent in all the things. But you never have to give up. It is never too late, right?
That's right. And you should do it. I know we're almost closing out, but you should also do one about later on in life. Like at this point of stage in life, I just feel, people, especially because I work in the industry that is ageism and lookism, everything.
Sure.
So at my age in this industry and PR, especially in beauty brands and fashion, I am, looked at as somebody who is either older, because, I usually would have been phased out by now. But at this stage of life, I love this stage of life because the kids are older, and now it's like another rebirth. And I know my good friend Bevy Smith it's so true that it gets greater later.
It gets greater later, yeah.
So good. I'm telling you, it's so good. And so I know eventually the two sides of me with PR Dionne and Emerge Dionne, even though PR Dionne wins out revenue-wise, eventually, hopefully I think Emerge is something that I would do that I just feel like that's a kind of passion and something I would like to do to support others. But I know we need to do another show on just this age because it's so good at this time.
It can
it's a
be.
Freedom.
I think it can be, and it's all based on choice.
Yeah.
And, your conscious intention. And so just know, I talk to a lot of folks about different stages of life. So yes, I agree with you 100%. Wherever we are, we need to realize that we can still soar.
Yes.
And not allow sexism, racism, any ism to stand in our way. But I think it requires community in order to do that. So you really understand that you're not alone.
Yeah.
You may have to fight your battles, but you're not alone. There are like-minded people, supportive people, even if in this moment for somebody it may not feel like it. Look around the corner. There's somebody who's got your back.
Yes.
And you need to find those people and nurture that community so that you stay strong.
That's true.
Dionne, thank you. Congratulations. I'm looking forward to this season's Emerge Fashion Show. And congratulations.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for supporting every year. I don't know if you knew some of the things that I was saying about kind of studying your career, but it's really true. I am just always admire what you've done. People really need to dig in because it's just the surface of the things that she's done with magazine covers and creative projects, like everything. So the 90s and the way the advertising and magazine back in that day, you were a big inaugural, big part of that. And so all of that stuff is just fascinating to me. So I just, to tell people to really look into, what Harriette has done as well as she's doing now. But I'm excited about the show that's happening on September 16th. There's so much that happens, like Harriette mentioned, with the models. It's the reception. It's people coming. It's the madness of people coming in and trying to get their seats. It's the red carpet happening.
It's exciting.
It's everything is happening. It's crazy, but it's a good time, and I really appreciate you, kind of highlighting us for the show.
Thank you. And thank you to all of you for tuning in. I hope you had as much fun as I did. You got to check out Emerge Fashion Show. It is a lot of fun. And to see these designers being able to showcase their work is very exciting. Until next time, have a great day and make it count.